Life as We Know It with Tom Walton.
As we age, our memories become more treasured, our recollections of the past more precious. And if we're lucky, somebody we love will ask us to share them. Often these inquiries come when we reach a milestone age, like turning 80 or 90, or if we're lucky enough, 100. I haven't reached any of those plateaus, but I choose not to wait for them. I'd rather share now, before some of my favorite memories fog, and before anyone has asked. With that in mind, here are half a dozen things I've seen in my life that excited my senses, reminded me that there are forces at work far greater than me, and taught me to never forget the value of humility and the wisdom of the fisherman's prayer. Oh God, thy sea is so great, and my boat is so small. Let me preface my list by explaining that I do not include births, graduations, marriages, or deaths. It should go without saying that they qualify as profound memories, but they need no explanation. Instead, I prefer to recall the truly majestic, the wondrous things over the decades that I saw in person with my own eyes. Places and things that took my breath away. Wonders both natural and man-made. First, the Big Sur coastline of California. Big Sur is an ecosystem unto itself. Stand on a cliff and you can see condors soaring 1,000 feet overhead, and you hear the surf crashing on the beach 1,000 feet below. Second on my list, the launch of one of America's space shuttles several years ago. Sitting in bleachers a mile from the launch pad, I watched as the countdown reached 0 and a plume of smoke and fire burst upward and outward. It was eerily silent until the sound wave reached us. Then the ground shook beneath us. Third, I include the experience of skydiving and tumbling out of an airplane at 14,000 feet. Although my instructor and I were falling toward the earth at 135 miles per hour, the sensation was not one of falling, but floating. Fourth, my visit to the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, and more specifically the baptistry building nearby. Built several centuries ago, it is an acoustical masterpiece. Every half hour or so, a volunteer steps forward in the well of the baptistry and begins singing. A few seconds later, he sings the same note an octave or so higher. Then he does the same yet again. The echoes linger so long, the volunteer in effect is harmonizing with himself. What a moving experience. Google it and play the video. It's not as magical as hearing it in person, but it gives you the idea. Finally, I cannot construct such a list without including my favorite place on the planet, Yosemite National Park. I've been to many of our national parks, and Yosemite is my number one. It may sound odd that I have visited Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, the Everglades, the mighty 5 national parks of Utah, and yet I choose Yosemite as my favorite. Simple truth is that I do not remember the first time I gazed into the magnificence of the Grand Canyon, nor the first time I drove through the vastness of Yellowstone. But I will never forget the first time I saw Yosemite and the shrine of nature that is Yosemite Valley. It was as close to God as I've ever felt. I hope you have such a list of your own, a treasure trove of the most remarkable things you've seen and heard in your lifetime. They should remind you that life is good, even during a pandemic.
Life as We Know It is written and hosted by Tom Walton and is a production of WGTE Public Media. Life as We Know It with Tom Walton can be heard on WGTE FM 91 every Monday afternoon during All Things Considered at 5:44 p.m. Or hear past episodes at wgte.org/life.